This is off of my debut album, Why Wait? And this is a song called Human. And I feel like now more than ever, just with our current climate in the world, in our country, having music that reminds us of our humanity, reminding us what brings us together and not what divides us is really important. So I feel super inspired to be singing this song and singing it more regularly. It's kind of, I wrote it as like an anthem. And it's really simple. The music is really simple. The chords are simple, but the message is what really, you know, shines through. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So.
Let's do it.
Here we go. It doesn't mean to be human. Strength in my heart and in my hand. It doesn't mean to be human. I'll do my best to understand. 'Cause if I don't care, and if I don't listen, and if I don't share, all the world will be missing. I'm not living to pretend. My arms are open. I'm human. What doesn't mean to be a woman. Strength in my voice and in my stance. Oh, it doesn't mean to be a woman. No, I wasn't born this way by chance. And if I don't own my freedoms, and if I don't quit trying to impress, and if I only play the victim, I'll miss the light that's coming last. I'm not living to pretend. My arms are open. I'm a woman. And I look to you. I look to you with love. And I find trust in your eyes. We're all trying to be happy. We're all trying to come alive. In me, you'll always find a friend. My arms are open. My arms are open. My arms are open. I'm human.
Yeah. Applause for, we got likes and comments everywhere on that. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Sounds great. Even through the phone. Wow, that was like perfect. Amazing. Leela, that voice gives me chills. Me too. I have a sweatshirt on so you guys can't see it. But I have this yeah. Absolutely amazing. So it's clear that there's some real stuff in those lyrics. Like some real stuff. I want to just talk about a little bit how you put that song together and kept all that, like, because I was like, I could literally like see like imagery in that. Like it was so like such a like intimate song. So it's like, how did you how'd you manage to keep that message intact through the process, right? Because songwriting's crazy and we try to attack our own music and stuff. Like, what's your process like when you're starting the song and keeping it going in the right direction?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know, with this song, I feel like all songs that I write, it has to hit me like deeply in my heart. It has to like kind of and then I know there's something there. There's something to be shared. And I feel like I try to touch on these really deep human emotions and questions that we have. And I wouldn't sing a song and I wouldn't write a song if it wasn't something that I myself have gone through or the thoughts that I've thought. I'm not trying to like preach and be like, let's all, remember our humanity, but really like the questions and the conflicts that I've come up against and how can I write something that's medicine for myself and bring people through a difficult time or remind people of their voice, their power, their authenticity. I think that's something from the very beginning of like being really inspired to write songs that help people find their voice. And in that process, I was finding my voice as well. And so the message is always really important to me. And I think whenever in my writing process, it comes down to that. What is the message? The words. If I don't stand behind the words, I'm not going to write it. And that's like, I guess the core of why I became a songwriter was like just seeing how powerful lyrics can be and how powerful they can inspire people and they can change the world. And they've always been at the forefront of every like historical movement. It's like artists, I feel like it's their responsibility to reflect the times we're living in. And so this song particularly kind of came together like that. Like was like, okay, an anthem for being human beings. And then in particular for me being a woman, it's like, what does that mean? And standing in that and claiming that space. And so that's kind of the inspiration for that song. And it's funny that you said the imagery too, because I'm actually creating a music video for it right now too.
Really? That's awesome. That's always a fun process too, to like take that music and put it into like a real setting like that. It's so cool. So it sounds like the important part for you is the gut check, right? You're like, am I writing something that speaks to like that voice of me in there? And that to me, like that's the most important thing when it comes to hearing a song that gives you those chills. It's like, a lot of times those are the songs that come from people's soul, and keeping that future intact. Especially like you said, you mentioned this COVID time. So how has it been for you in terms of transitioning from pre-COVID to now? I mean, shows aren't a thing anymore. Like we're not going out, we're not playing shows, we're not going to bars, we're not doing any of that. So have you had to adjust in any way with this stuff going on?
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting like creative incubation time. It's like although artists aren't able to be in the forefront and with their fans and face to face and play live music, because there's nothing like being in a room with people and sharing that. It's such an exchange.
Yes.
So that's really weird. And I did do a few web, like live stream concerts, like kind of, like an hour and a half, longer concert. And it was so bizarre to be singing in an empty room and to be like singing to an iPad and being like, hi guys. But at the same time, it's like, it was very, it was extremely vulnerable, which I'm all for that. Like I have, if I'm not vulnerable while I'm playing, like something's wrong, I'm like spaced out or something. So it has to come from that place. So it was extra vulnerable being in my living room, doing that. And then it's just silent. And, but people were so supportive. I could feel like the love coming through the screen, if that makes sense. It was like, it's weird, but it's also, I think this is also a beautiful time to really go deep and connect in ways that we can't normally connect.
Agreed.
we have to be more creative about how we connect with people and how we connect with our fans. And for me personally, it's been a time where I can focus a lot. I'm writing a lot. I have a lot of new songs that I'm finishing up and working up to a new EP. And yeah, and working on some music videos and stuff. So I've been able to kind of just focus and be less distracted and outward in that way. But yeah, it's bizarre. It's also bizarre to not go see live music right now. I'm super bummed about that. And it's a huge source of inspiration and just like move and dance with people. People just like weird, you know, not just be like, you know, in your home alone and yeah, it's a bizarre time. And I feel like there's so many artists, yeah, just all over the board. You know, everyone who puts the shows together, all the back end, all the behind and stuff too. It's like pretty crazy. It's crazy. And who knows when everything's gonna open back up? I don't know.
I know. It's scary. I was gonna ask you to add if you had to go into that or if you've tried it and ask you your experience on it. But it seems like you had like a really good experience with it. People were just sending you love through it. So I think it's the industry obviously is moving in that direction right now because it's like what else are we gonna do, you know? And like you said, the inspiration a lot of times comes from seeing other artists or even just going out and like being in person sometimes, coming away from songwriting and stuff too. Like you're saying, like that's a source of inspiration too. And it's like we really can't do that either right now. So where are you gaining some of your inspiration from nowadays with your music?
I would say, I mean, I think I'm gaining inspiration just with all the craziness that's happening in our country. It's like there's a lot of like juice. There's a lot to work with. I actually think that this is an extremely important time for artists to be writing about what's going on and to be using our voices and to really use this as a vehicle for change and use it as a vehicle to kind of wake everyone up, you know? And I think that like, I super stand behind that. And like the whole movement of the 60s and people just writing songs that move people, that inspire people into action. And I think we're in a similar, you know, space right now. And so the songs that I've been writing and the songs that I kind of have on, you know, coming or, you know, finishing the production on right now, are definitely a reflection of what's going on right now. Like, you know, and I'm also challenging myself to write things, not being afraid to talk about certain things.
Sure.
Not skirting around things. I'm challenging myself to be honest and real and not tiptoe around issues that are going on.
Sure.
I don't, as a songwriter, I don't blatantly like to say something like spelling out everything like this is what needs to happen in social justice right now. But I'm asking questions in the music. I'm kind of like directing the listener to the, you know, and myself. It's like for myself too. It's like, okay, how can we talk about these things and in a way that really like hits your heart and that isn't overly preachy or just like something that actually can. I think music can be very like so agreeable on the ears more so than someone just like preaching to you or like saying like you should do this or that or the world needs this or that. Music has this flexibility and this like this malleability to be heard by, you know, you can have a group of people from all different backgrounds in a room and they can be like, oh yeah, the music, like we can all agree on it. It's such a like a language that we can agree on. So for me, it's like it would be a missed opportunity not to, again, write about everything that's going on right now.
Sure. I agree with you. I think there's two parts to this. I think the first part's more difficult than the second part because the first part involves empowerment, right? It's like empowering people to write about some vulnerable stuff, right? And then part two of that is how do we do it without being preachy? And those are sort of like, to me, the two parts that make up a really strong song. You know, you have to be super empowered about what you're saying. It has to be like a thorn in your side, right? You got to be like, like I gotta scratch that. I gotta say something. And I think, quite frankly, I think a lot of people are scared to do that. I think a lot of people are afraid to talk about how they're feeling in their own music because they think that it's going to come off the wrong way. When in reality, it's like you said, music's a different ball game. It's a different vessel to talk to people. Like you're saying, you never want to come off too preachy or anything. Starting the conversation is the most important part. In songs, it's a really easy way to bring awareness to an issue that you're talking about, right? And I think that's first. And it's a good way to start conversations. And it's a really good way to just tell people how you feel about a certain thing. And if it comes from that dialogue of, this is how I feel, like it's killing me, you know, what is going on? It's such a strong, vulnerable message, right? Because there's nothing to it. It's not like you're writing a song to advertise something or to push something down people's throat. No, you're saying like this modern era of music, of everything going on, it's killing me, and I'm pretty sure it's killing you too. And I think that's a way that I think that's what needs to happen more. And that's why I was like, this is the perfect topic for you because you're super good at that. Like I heard what you just sang, and I'm like, wow, like he's able to just hit me right in the head with what she's feeling, you know. And there's no right or wrong with music, right? Like I can't sit here and say, oh, I hate your song because I hate what you're talking about. Like, no one does that, you know. It's like, is the music good or is it bad? And then they get the lyrics like, whoa, you know. So I love the way you're talking about it, how it's a universal way to reach people with what you're trying to say, as opposed to going on Instagram or YouTube and be like, I hate this, you know, or I love this. Super important. So does something have to like be in your head for you to want to sit down and write about it, or like you said, you're just writing a song and it just happens to come up?
Yeah, sometimes, you know, I think inspiration strike at different, you know, times. You know, there can be an intentional time where I'm like, I'm gonna just sit down and noodle and play. And then sometimes I have like a melody that hits me, and you know, I'm always recording things on my phone, like, oh, remember that, remember this melody, or remember this line. And you know, sometimes I'll wake up in the middle, you know, I'll be falling asleep, and then I'll have like lyrics that just are like,
oh yeah,
in my head. I'm like, I got it. And that has happened a lot. Actually, the new song that I'm writing right now, my next song release, called "Give It Up," which is in production right now, came to me at like 1:30 in the morning, and it was like the whole song was there, and I was like, this is it. Like this is, and it just sometimes it happens. And I think when you're, you know, when you're engaged in listening for that, or like, you know, when you're open to like the muse, so to speak, to strike at any time, you know, I think, I think again, with just how vulnerable and like weird this time feels, I feel like my heart just feels like very open and just like, I don't know, it just feels like it's naturally coming. And I think it's like the right like grit and ingredients that you need to write something that has a lot of, I don't know, oomph and comes from my heart. And again, that's like, to me, that's the most important. And then I'm like, the musicality and the melodies and stuff, like that's all important too. But I'm like, ooh, but do the words stick? And then how can I bring that out in a beautiful way through melody, through song, through chord structure, through all this stuff? Like this one, you know, Human, for example, is very simple. It's just chord, chord, chord. But I hit the chord and it's like I sing the line, and it's like that was intentional. It's like I didn't want a lot, and it's actually the only song on the album that's not produced with a lot of other, instrumentation, like drum and guitar and piano and all these
Sure.
It's the only one on the album that is just vocals and piano, just simply kind of how I just did it. And I wanted it like that, just because it's like, just
let it speak.
deliver it in a simple, fresh, kind of direct way. It didn't, to me, I didn't want it covered up with a lot of other production qualities. And I co-produced the album and kind of got to, pick every little, I was very intentional with all the sounds and everything I did.
Sure. That makes sense. The stronger the message, the stronger the message when it comes to if you dig into arrangement and instrumentation, it's like sometimes you just gotta let the words speak. Like let the music take a background and let the vocals and the air of the vocals and the room and the way you're pronouncing the words kind of do the work. And it's okay if there's just a piano behind it and that's it. I love songs like that just hits you like, oh my god, but there's only a piano. I hear a lot of Adele stuff like that too, where it's like, whoa, like what did she just say? It's crazy. Christina Aguilera.
For me, I mean, I play the keys and guitar and stuff. I use them as writing tools. But for me, number one has always been like the voice is my instrument, and so that's where I'd rather have like more complicated melodies than having something. I'm using it as support to the voice, and so even if I have a more intricate on instrument, I'm still giving a lot of space to the vocals.
Sure. So I think that's important too. It's especially for like the message back, right? It's like start there. If I really is about something that I need to say, I'm starting with the message, starting with a vocal, and then everything else, like you're saying, takes a back seat because if you start putting all these elements in and loud synthetic stuff and guitars, there's a place for those songs, right? But if it's a really organic song that is so lyric driven, almost arranging it for that. Like with mixing engineers, what they're doing is they're taking what is the main focus of this part of the song and they're putting everything else at bay during that part of the song. And when it comes to the writing of the song, keeping that in mind, right? Okay, this is the message that has to stay intact the whole time. So let's make everything else sit behind. And there's no problem with that. And I love that when artists do that. I wanted to touch on this. It's like, so if you were speaking to independent artists right now and you had to empower them to write something that they were passionate about right now, what's the advice you give them if they're scared?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I think I would say, kind of to dig in within themselves and what is the message or what is that central idea that they are afraid to talk about, that they are afraid to give a voice to. And I would pose the question as maybe that's the very reason that you're here in this time. To make an impact, to be an artist. Maybe you were born for this time. You were born to say this message right now. It's like, why are you here right now as an artist? And, it's like, I named my first album, Why Wait? Because that's the advice I'm going to say is, why wait? Why wait I waited so long to do certain things. And it took me a long time to get to where I am now because I held myself back so many times. And I'll be straight up with you. It's like, we are our worst critics sometimes. And I suffer from perfectionism and waiting until everything's
perfect.
Right. It's just like,
never comes.
Stifling, and it's terrible. And it makes you feel small. And it's like, I always know another advice would be, if you are feeling scared and fearful and your heart is fluttering, then you probably need to do it. That's probably a good sign to just go for it. Because when I'm the most freaked out to do something, because I feel like, there's weightiness to this, there's something that's important about this, that is my biggest breakthrough.
Yeah.
And stuff, when you put yourself out there, when you actually just go for it and you're fearless, I feel like you are paid back tenfold for that. It's like, if you think of it as like if you're offering up, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write this song that I'm afraid to say, I'm going to sing this song. I'm going to write this. It's just like, there's so much momentum and energy behind that. And
I agree.
That is like, ooh, that's like that's a sweet spot.
So yeah,
I encourage that. I mean, I try to, even when I'm playing live sometimes, like, I'll take risks and I'll do things that maybe I didn't rehearse at all. And because I like the feeling of being in the moment, being present and just going for it and being like, okay, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to keep this interesting and alive for myself, and I know that, I think people can feel that. Like, people know when you're being authentic, when you're coming from your heart, rather than like, I'm doing this song for notoriety or like, it's like, and I'm not saying, I never am trying to bring someone down if that's their intention. If fame or notoriety is why you do music, so be it. I'm just saying, for me, that's never been the intention, and that and it never will be. And it's not why I do what I do. And this is not, I would say, I don't know, this is not an easy, being an independent artist is not an easy path. So if you want something easy and you want a lot of money right away,
I know.
So to stay and stick with this for as long as I have, and for all the ups and downs and everything that has happened, it's because it gives me so much, like, I feel so alive and I feel the most myself doing this, and it's like, so comes from my heart. That's why I just like to, like, when I sing or when I write a song, I just like bear it all, because I'm like, why not? Like, life is so short. And so that's a very long answer for advice.
Perfect.
That's what I was
I'll try and
do it.
I'll try and extract the main thing from that. And I think what the most important part for you is, and you're talking about this perfectly, because it was what I wanted to say too, is that, like, if you were looking for this to be easy, it's not for you. So when you're an independent artist and a songwriter, and even a creative, I think your lifestyle has to change. And you have to start looking at the things that bother you, the pain that you're feeling, the suffering that you're going through or have gone through, as, instead of this bad thing, as this call to action, right? That's where I want to lean in, and that's where the song's going to be, rather than run away from it, right? No, I gotta get, like that, whatever is really bothering you, whatever really hurts right now, whatever is screaming at you, instead of running from it, that's where you start. That's like your point A. Like, you look at it in the face and you say, I'm gonna write a song about this. I'm not afraid of you, and I'm gonna write about you. And that is, to me, the most important starting point for a song. And that's, you said the same exact thing, which is awesome. And I love what you said about of just start now, don't wait, because as you said that, we got a comment. It said, love when you spoke about having that lyric and waking up in the middle of the night. I get that, but I always say, oh, I'll write it down in the morning, but never remember, wump up up, right? Do it now.
You always lose it.
It'll be gone forever. Yeah.
You have to do it right then. I know sometimes I'm like, but I'm so tired. But it is. It's like, you have to, like what you're saying too. It's like, whenever that happens, whenever that comes up, you got to lean into it. You just got to, like, go with it,
Yeah, you can't be afraid. You cannot be afraid. And again, that's another thing. Fear is going to stop you from saying what you need to say. It's almost like fear's out to get you. It's like, no, you can't. That's classified. You can't get that out, so I'm gonna stop you. So yeah, you gotta like punch through that and just go for it with your idea. It's so important. You mentioned the muse, and I've heard that word. I read a book called The War of Art. I know there's a book called The Art of War, but there's a book called The War of Art. If anyone hasn't read it, and writes songs, please read it. It's by Stephen Pressfield. He's a writer.
Okay, yeah.
It's this white book.
That book and have not read it.
Well, you said the word the muse, and it's in there. It's in there because he talks about, okay, every morning I have to write books. right? Every morning I have to write. I got to write because I'm a writer. And here's what I found. He says, no matter what, when I wake up and sit down to write, there's going to be two things. There's going to be a muse and there's going to be some form of resistance. And he goes, that resistance is coming. And if I approach my desk saying there's going to be no resistance today, I lost. I might as well just step out. So he uses that resistance as his inspiration, or his resistance is the muse, he's saying. But the most important thing is showing up. And that's it. He says he believes in the muse no matter what, whether it comes in the form of resistance or whether it comes in the form of something else. He knows that if he shows up and he believes firmly in what he calls the muse, every single time he sits down, it's going to come through for him. He believes in that so much that that's his way of writing. That's the most important part, right? Because then it's like, okay, my message is going to be there and I can step out of the way, you know?
Totally. Yeah. It's all about, I think, getting out of your own way. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, like, you will have a million excuses not to just sit down and be with your instrument or be with your voice or write a song. Like, a million things will always come up.
Oh my, yeah.
It's like you have to kind of just like push through and arrive anyway, because it's like, I would say, I don't know if it feels like a human habit, like across the board, to just always stay kind of comfortable and, you know, kind of, I don't know, small. We're like, oh, this is easier, or at least for me, that has been something where I'm like, okay. So it's like, if that's always the habit, I'm, you know, I need to realize that will be there. And then if I just kind of do it, it's like amazing. Like, I don't know, it's so funny how you can make the resistance is like, you know, what am I trying to say? The anticipation, let's say like, oh, I got to write this song, or I want to do this thing in time for this or whatever. The fear that I build up in my head, or the resistance of like, oh, I just got to sit down and do it, is so much more painful than when I just sit down and everything just, it's like, it's right there. It's waiting for you.
Yeah.
It's so funny how much we like build everything up in our head.
Oh yeah.
I think probably most artists do that, and
everybody.
Most art forms, you know. It's a very across the board human thing. And
yeah, that's our every artist will talk about that. Some call it an ego, some call it whatever they want to call it, but it's like that's always gonna be there, always. And I like when I was in LA, like I know you went to LA too, like. My goal was there. I went to school for music. My goal was to like get rid of that, right? I was like, I can't do music because that's always there. And I was like, how do I get rid of that? And what I actually learned was that that's there for a reason, and that's the thing that's going to get me to start the music. So you have to embrace that, because it's so convincing. It's like oh, if you just stay in bed and don't write the song, it's okay. You can rest. It's all fine. You know, you write it next week. It's such a convincing voice, and it's like, nope, like I gotta know that that's there, and I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna show up anyway. And even if I write about how I wish I was back in bed right now, sleeping until like 10 a.m., like I'm still gonna write about it, you know.
Yeah,
it's yeah, that's like you said, like imagine writing down all those reasons that mind's telling you not to write. Imagine writing them all down, right? It'd be like a whole journal's worth.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going. It's going to keep going. It'll be like, oh, well, maybe your guitar's out of tune. Okay, well, maybe your piano's out of tune. Maybe it's not a good day to write. Maybe you don't have any, like, we could go on and on and on.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah. There'll always be something.
Do you keep a journal?
I do. My journal's kind of all over the place. It's like song ideas and inspirations, and I'm not so much. I've gone through periods where I've been more of like a daily journal kind of gal. I did the artist way for a while, like where
yeah.
And you just get everything out of your brain.
Yeah, the morning pages, they're awesome. Yeah,
I did that. It was great. It was awesome.
It's crazy.
And but yeah, I'm always like writing stuff down. I don't like lined paper. I'm always like writing and then like drawing things or doing arrows. It's very like organic. So, you know, sometimes and then I'll fill an entire page with just a question. in like a weird design, and like it's just I don't know.
That's the best.
It's a creative palette too. Like
That's
I like
the best.
to do things like that too. So.
Yeah, I like not having lines because like it's like when you're writing a song, it's like there's no line paper, you know. Like no, like just write. I love that too. I'll draw like weird shapes and stuff, and like I'll just it's crazy. Somebody said, "Oh my God, yes." Sophie said, "Oh my God, yes." Exactly what I'm going through now, fighting the resistance in my head. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. That's what I tried to do, and it knocked me on my butt. So
it's almost like I don't know, this thought popped in my head. It's almost like you have to invite it there nicely as your guest. It's like, hi, I see that you're here. I know that you don't want me to write a song, but I'm going to do it anyway. Thank you so much. It's almost like a pesky, I don't know, or like a dog that's like, give me a treat, give me a treat, give me a treat. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm doing this right now, and I'm going to feed you. Don't worry. But it's like almost like recognizing it, accepting it, and that is the resistance when you fight it. Like a lot of times we'll win. So I think just recognizing that like it's another person in the room with you sometimes, and that like it's really helped me to get clear about, okay, but what am I really standing for? Like what is my aspiration? What is my intention to do this? Like, and that's much more important. And it's like, and realizing that like your music, if you're sharing your music out in the world, it's like, think about the other people that you're going to make an impact on.
Exactly.
Think about the other people that you could, you might bring them some sort of relief or like some sort of just joy or happiness. So it's like kind of taking it out of just like, oh, this is just for me, but like, oh, how can I show up and be bigger for others too? And how am I? So I think it can be very like, as a gift, as an offering, it's what you do. It's like, how do you give back?
Exactly.
When you make it bigger than your limiting beliefs or your resistance or all your, no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't, then, then it opens up and it becomes possible.
Absolutely. Taking yourself, that's the first step sometimes, taking you out of it. Take I out, take me out, take all that stuff. And because sometimes there's a song that just has to be written. And it's like, you don't know why, how, what, but this song's knocking on your front door. It's like, you gotta write me. So sometimes it's just like, this isn't about me. I don't know what it's about, but I'm just gonna write it. And and that's that. Such great advice. Glad, because I think this is a lot of I think it's such a common thing. Anybody that writes music with a really deep message behind it has to have gone through this, and it's a scary, like, people might be watching this being like, what is wrong with that? They're talking about like the really hard stuff. I'm not gonna go into that word, like that's depressing. Like, it's what we're trying to say to you is that it's not depressing, but your mind will make it seem that way, right? Like if you're trying to write music and you're stuck in a writer's block. I was stuck in a writer's block for 3 years. And like you mentioned that it makes you feel so small when you wait and you wait and you wait, because it becomes like your mind comes up with 1,000 reasons why you should not write music, why you should not write stuff that you're passionate about, why you shouldn't do things that you're passionate about. And that's just so belittling. And people, I think artists don't understand that that's like, we try to fight that and butt heads with it, when in reality, you have to, like you said, invite it in and just say, okay, like, you're here, like, let's almost write this together. Whereas me versus you, no, like, let's write this together. Like, sit down. Like, I ask it to like sit down with me. Like, tell me more about what you're saying. Tell me more about what you want to say about this certain thing, or about me. What do you have to say about me? And I can write all that down. And in knowing the truth, like you said, you can really tell who you are sometimes when that's going on, because you're like, well, that's your opinion and that's what you're saying, but that's not what I'm about.
Right.
And you can write a song about that too.
Right.
What's your
I don't know. I think also too, I think a big block can be like, I need to finish the song. I need to do the song. I need to have the song, but also enjoying the process of it and being curious with yourself, asking questions. Like, I was just working on the song the other day and everything was like hitting right. And then I was like, why does this one line not like hit for me? And I was like, it's not right. It's not right. And then I just kept asking questions. It's like, well, what do I want to say here? What do I want the listener to hear? What am I trying? What is the feeling that I want to be portrayed in this idea? So it's like asking questions, digging in, and not worrying so much about, just always like the goal, finish the song, do this, do that. But it's like, how are you maturing as a songwriter, and how are you becoming better friends with yourself as a songwriter? And again, tuning in, listening, and being receptive to what's coming. And so I think, again, yeah, like I the other night when I was writing on this, I was like trying to force it. I was like, I need this last line. And I was just like, what am I actually trying to say? It's not like I'm just filling out a last line like it's a puzzle. Like, my last line, it's done. It's like, okay,
it's already there. Yeah.
How does it fit it? Like, what needs to be said? Yeah, and it's already there. And it's like, once I just actually let go.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, there it is.
Right there. It's already there, staring us in the face, right? It's like, oh, yeah, it's crazy. So where did you kind of start when it comes to songwriting? Like, what got you into it? What got you into being an artist?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I liked to sing as a child. This is kind of a funny story, but I feel like this is like many people's story, like young girls. But I saw the play Annie, and my cousin, she was my age.
Yeah,
I heard the songs for the first time, and I went home, my like 10-year-old self, and I was like, started like learning the song, the song come out. And I started learning all the songs, and I had never sung to my family before. Like, I had sung at school and stuff like that, like in, like little singing groups with 4th and 5th graders, But then like, I learned these songs, and I remember like telling my parents to sit down. I was like, can you sit down? And I was pretty shy back then. And I was like, I'm going to sing something for you. And I remember singing these songs for them, and they were just like, wait, what? I was a tiny little scrawny 10-year-old, and I had this, big voice, and they're like, oh my gosh, okay, like, you like to sing. And I was like, I think I like to sing. And then I started, doing like voice lessons and all that stuff. But like, that wasn't it for me. It was really when I, as I got into my teenage years, like I started at 13 writing my own songs, and I was like, ooh, this is the thing for me. It wasn't so much just like singing or singing other people's songs, or like, ooh, writing my own songs. And I was like a terrible guitar and piano student. Like, I was just like, dude, like, learn these songs, and then I would just go home and write my own songs.
Yeah.
Never learned the material that they gave me, because I was like, I just want to write my own. And so I started writing. I have some pretty like embarrassing demos from like 13, 14, like through my teens.
Yeah, you're supposed to have that. Yeah.
What?
You're supposed to have that. That's normal. Yeah.
But then, like, but even like my very first song was like about like your rose-colored glasses. You think it was like very like, you think everything's great, but the world really, it was very much like a protest song as a 13-year-old too. So that's always been like, even from the very beginning, that's been like the forefront. And I was like hugely influenced by like the oldies and the classics and classic songwriters. And I remember like the first artist that I was like super moved by. And I remember at a very young age being like getting emotional over singing or over hearing John Lennon sing Imagine. Yeah. And I remember like crying. I must have been only 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, why am I crying to the song? Like, what's happening? And the movement that I love how he was, he had such a peace movement behind his music. And I think that all those influences of, again, listening to all these like amazing songs, Neil Young, we had like Van Morrison playing, we had, I don't know, Eric Clapton, the Stones, and also like Sinatra and and I just think the lyrics and the words like made such an impression on me.
Yeah, that's what with you. Yeah.
So, like, I want to use this as a vehicle for a message, not just to like, and I think artists are different. Like, some artists really like want to create like just like awesome beats and like cool music and just like doing all this cool, like, you know, a lot of people are into like the music theory of a song. Oh, I'm gonna do all these, you know, fun things, and I think every artist is different. So like
Everybody's different.
Everyone can have their own thing. Like I love that too. Like I love like a song is just like right in the pocket, and it's like it doesn't matter necessarily what the lyrics are saying for that, and that's all great. And there's like space and room for everything. And just, for me personally, the thing that like moves me has always been that. And so, you know, and then I kind of, you know, started recording more and performing like a ton, I guess. And I like won this like performance contract as like a teenager, like performing around town at like different resorts and stuff. This is when I was living in actually Sedona, Arizona. I mean, I'm back now in the DC area, which is my hometown. But yeah, and then I was performing a lot, recording and collaborating with artists. And, yeah, and then I actually ended up recording a lot out in LA, and that was kind of crazy because things kind of fell apart, and like the group I was working with, like everyone kind of had different ideas, and there was a falling out with some of the people I was working with, and I was
part of the process. Yeah, I happened part of the process.
Like, I recorded a ton of music out there that's like never hit anyone's ears, which is really hard. But yeah, and you know, there's just like. There was a time, and also I was doing music out in Nashville for a little bit, and there was talks of like a record contract that didn't happen right before like the market crashed. Like it was just like all these, you know, that's par for the course. And but like I've had a lot of like wonderful just fans and supporters that have really just stuck with me, and you know, at like all my shows for a long time. And really supported me to keep the album. So much
comes together, yeah.
Like I feel like everyone who supported me, it's like they just all are like close friends, and I want that. And I always
how it should be. That's what you want. It's about the community, 100%.
Yeah, like I just wanted to feel like like, hey, we're having a conversation, and like you're important to me, and I'm singing this for you, and.
Great.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's kind of, yeah, it's just been a wild journey, and it can feel all over the place. And also too, you know, you have to survive and eat. So it's not like I've just always been able to do this like full time. And, you know, that's hard. And it's like, and again, in ways I've held myself back, you know, and I'm looking back, I'm like, God, ways that I just wasted time being great. And
so true.
I just feel like now more than ever, I'm like stepping into like owning my own, you know, like owning my own voice. I like preach that stuff. I'm like, come on, you know, like find your voice, and
yeah.
I'm writing that message for myself too, and that's been the whole process, you know.
That's great.
Great.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, again, it sounds like you caught the bug early. Like you caught the music bug, like yo, which is good. Job and all that stuff. So it's like you touch that, and you're like, I gotta do that, and it all incubates for like 10 years, and it's like boom, you know. And it really what it's about is the empowerment, like you're saying, and the vulnerability, not being afraid. You know, I think we got some comments too. Such a great interview. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. Because we're touching some of that scary stuff, right? It's like it's a really scary road ahead when you're trying to write music in general. And like you're saying, if the instrumentation's your thing, that's your thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just go for it. Don't sit around and wait. You know, don't wait.
Just like do it 100%. Like leave it all on the table.
Yeah.
You know.
Agreed. So we're just about hitting our mark to get kicked off Instagram. So really fun. That flew by. I really enjoyed this one too. Yeah, this was really good. We got a lot of good comments too. I'm trying to get through, make sure we didn't miss anyone. But yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was like some really hard stuff to talk about, but it's so organic and important. So guys, this is gonna be posted. I'm definitely gonna post it too because it was really like awesome, and yeah, like this was awesome. Thank you so much for like being vulnerable with us, Adalia. Yeah, and the song was beautiful. And anything coming up that you want to tell people about? Any EPs, songs, singles?
So I actually have a song that I just released a few months ago. It's called "Come Home," and a really fun, like quirky, playful music video. I'm actually in a hazmat suit, which I decided that outfit before the pandemic hit. So
No way.
very bizarre. And
Psychic.
some of the lyrics are talk about like a sickness. Anyway, it's weird. So check that out. It's "Come Home." It's on all my, just adaliatara.com. It's everywhere. And then I have some new songs coming up in these next couple months, and stay tuned also for the song that I played. I'm creating a music video. So there'll be the Human music video coming out soon too. Awesome. And it's all gearing up to a new EP, and I don't have the title yet, but it's in the process. Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing and inspiring a bunch of people, because super inspiring, and keep doing your thing. All right, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for all awesome comments, and I'll tag Adalia in the post. We're gonna post it, and it's on YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. If you have questions for her, you can find her Instagram on the post and reach out to her, reach out to me, reach out to Cyber PR, and we're here for you guys. And thank you so much. I will see you guys next Thursday.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
For you guys, and thank you so much. I will